Hello, everybody. Welcome to my weird, wonderful world. And today I want to talk about what I might consider to be challenging music and asking a question basically is is the more challenging albums, are they the more rewarding? Are they the ones that pop up to the top and make it, I don't know, just somewhat a little bit more better in some ways? Now, I'm going to go through what I consider to be challenging works here and there. These are my examples. I'm sure you can find plenty of examples on your own of music that you found challenging to listen to, but once it clicked, once maybe after your third listen, once it clicked and you got it, like, oh yeah, you find that those albums just kind of became your favorite albums and stuff like that. Okay, now before I continue, I just want a pre-warning to Glen Calloway from the basement. I'm I have your picture right here, ready ready to show. Okay, it's one out of four that I'm sending you. Now, after I present my little presentation of the challenging music and that, I am going to be showing my rest of my viewers and subscribers the picture. Now, I'll warn you before I do, and it's not going to be now, it's going to be a little bit later in the video, but when I do, I want you to turn off the video when I say to turn off the video and not to spoil it for yourself. I want you to be surprised when when you actually get it in the mail, okay? I mean, if you want to spoil it for yourself, you can. I'll be disappointed in you. Larry Graves turned it off when I asked him to not watch any further. I didn't want to spoil the surprise, and I'm glad that he didn't watch. So when he did get the package, he was pleasantly surprised, and it just made it even better for me. So don't spoil it for yourself when I do show this later. I'm not showing it yet. All right, but I will eventually. Now, okay. Now, when it comes to challenging music, right? Now, a quick example of what I consider not challenging music, but still they perfected a formula, a secret formula of herbs and spices. Like one of them was named Malcolm Young, and the other one's named Angus Young, and together this here, I don't necessarily think at all that is challenging at all. I think you find people of all ages, easily able to get into any AC/DC album because once you played one, you pretty much know in some ways what you're gonna get throughout, even though there is a progression and everything that they have done is really really good. But as considering it challenging, no, I don't think it's that challenging at all. Like the Justin Bieber's or the Billie Eilish or I don't think they're challenging at all. I think people with easily open minds can get into that kind of music. But okay, I'll start with this here. I have been listening, of course, to all these Zappas that I gotten from Robert Harris, and thank you again for for the awesome gifts. I had bought Joe's Garage. I love it, okay, but it is, you know, blessedly in the best possible way. Challenging music is not for the faint of heart, especially some of the subject matter and what they're talking about. I absolutely loved Cheap Thrills, the first one. You know, some of Cheap Thrills was okay. It has some good stuff. There's really good stuff on it. I mean, Disco Boy Live, the soundtrack version, yeah, that's pretty cool on it. But I thoroughly enjoyed that. That has such good stuff on it. I mean, I loved all of Joe's Garage, but it is in some ways challenging, you know. But is it any more challenging than say Ween? For example, the pod. Now I know people who that hear this only once, you may not get it. You may not understand, the genius of this album is not meant to be like another album. It is what it is. Now, if I would have a Trout Mask replica, for example, okay, Captain Beefheart, it would be right alongside this album as being in the same vein of weirdness, and that makes it challenging and makes it different. Like if I had Trout Mouse Replica right here, that is a challenging album that, I instantly, the first time I heard it, I got it. I understood what he was doing, and it's like, I loved it. I loved it. And this here is the same thing. It's the same thing. When you understand where it's coming from, like, yeah, this is a must repeat. I must play this again soon. Yeah, because I do actually really like it and enjoy it. Even my live God Weed Satan. I need to play that more often. Now, other examples of what may be considered challenging music, what I consider might be challenging to most of you out there, would be maybe this ogre, Devil's in My Detail. I think a lot of you might hear that and not get it and click right out and say, yeah, it's not for me. And, I think this could be challenging. I instantly loved it because I knew of the two previous albums before that, of Welt and Sunny Psyops. Those two albums of Ogre I already was familiar, but this was such a curveball. It was so different than those first two, and the flow. This is not an album to listen song by song. You need to listen to the whole album as a whole. It goes through. It tells a story, but you're struggling. What is that story? And I remember looking for the lyrics of this album because there's no lyrics inside, and seeing somewhere that it was said that this album, when the year of its release, was the most looked for lyrics of anything on the internet. It was like the number one album that people were looking for the lyrics. They want to know what the lyrics are for that. So yeah, I think it is a challenging album, but if you can get through it, I think it's rewarding. Rewarding. Um, I might as well bring these two up, of course, from my childhood, and well, at least this one here, the Electric Lucifer. I consider this maybe still challenging for some viewers, for some people out there that might not get it. Like, it took, even as a young kid, I didn't get it until much older, until well, basically until I was able to own it on CD. But as a kid growing up, I had a because on in the CD there's a nice booklet here that really goes into details of the background into it. Like, it's a lot of stuff to read. And I read this. I have read this because I this was something I needed to read. And if you to go into that, to what they're writing about this album and what went into it and everything, it opens up your understanding. And even, but it wasn't. I I still consider this, for me personally, the most yeah the most challenging, yeah, pretty much the most challenging album of my life. It was this one here, but I love it dearly. I do love it. I love what it represents, but it's not an easy listen. It really isn't. And nor would the Moon Gas or the Electric Eclectics. It's three. This is three albums in one. What I first heard was the Electric Eclectics of Dick Hyman, including the Minotaur, which is a pretty awesome tune. But it's all that first stuff of Moongas itself, from the first track to track 11. Those first 12, sorry, 12 tracks. After Star Eyes, which is the last track of Moongas, the electric the Electric Eclectic starts with the Topless Dancers of Corfu, and from there it just gets even more. Yeah, it's a challenging listen, but I'm rewarded every time I listen to it because I hear the beauty and the genius behind it. Um, how about Future Days by Can? This is challenging to a lot of people, because it's not your everyday average tap your fingers, and sing along kind of, you know, it kind of comes in soft and slow and and keeps a certain type of rhythm. It's so mood enhanced. It's not yeah, like I was saying, it's not your average album to listen to in that respect because it's ambience. It's just ambience. It's just like, you put that on is I consider it the perfect background music. This is actually perfect music for me to listen to when I'm drawing it actually. This is great drawing music because it just I don't have to focus on what I'm listening to. It's just so easy. But some people might find that aspect that they want more from their music. It's not maybe it's not challenging enough. I guess would be the opposite in a way. That it's not challenging is what's challenging. Okay, you can interpret that however you want. Or I consider maybe this could be a challenging. I embraced it full open minded when I first heard it, because the first two things I heard, of course, was Atlas and Tonto, which do have. I do have the DVD like in my other copy there. I do have Tonto and Atlas. I have the videos for them, so on DVD. So that I'm so happy. But when it comes to songs like D Diamond, okay, I find that super challenging. I like it and I do understand it, but I consider that like if I played that on repeat, out loud and like barricaded myself in the room, it would drive others insane because it could be super annoying. But in the context of the album, yeah, I actually really love it because it's right in between Atlas and Tonto, which are the two best songs on this album. But D Diamond being right dead center of those two is like it breaks it up in a weird way. Like I would have probably kept it in there, but just changed had Tonto in the third position and put D Diamond in the fourth position. That's what I would do there. But I consider that a challenging album for most people. I mean, there are other people I know the first time they listen to it, they're gonna love it. They're just gonna say, "Yeah, I love the challenging part of it." Um, how about this? Maybe probably one of the most disappointing albums that I know I have that most people deem disappointing, but I don't really consider it all that disappointing. I still find there's gems on this, and I do kind of like it. It is just a little bloated, just a little bit too much content. They they probably should have taken off the two worst songs off of there, which there's a few, but yeah, I'm talking about Chinese Democracy, Guns N' Roses. To some people, this might be a challenging listen because it does kind of sort of drag on a little bit, and you're not getting a lot of variations. There's a couple of standouts. Street of Dreams is a pretty good standout. Sheckler's Revenge is pretty good standout. Catcher in the Rye is pretty good standout. Raid and the Bedouins is a standout, but the rest kind of start, sounding too familiar. Or how about this? How challenging would this album be? Because it gets wacky, with the space junk and like a weird, like it's a strange, different type of if you don't know what is coming up, if you haven't read and you hear I can't get no satisfaction, and you're thinking to yourself, that's from a Rolling Stone. That's the Rolling Stones cover, and and because it wouldn't register right away until it was like, wait a minute, because where he begins I can't get no, it's yeah, and then like Jacko Homo, how weird it's a weird song. To some people, this might be too challenging. They might find it too quirky and too spacey and out of this world, to be real music. But I mean, gut feeling, slap your mommy. I mean, come back, Johnny. So good, so good. You know, yeah, it's a great album. I do actually really love it. So, but is it challenging to some people? I don't think so. But I can see it being challenging for some people. Like this album, for example, Rush, Caress of Steel. When this first came out, okay, I mean they had Fly By Night, and that was a big success. And then they come up with something like all Brainiac and like Bastille Day, killer song though, so good. Then I think I'm going bald. The second track, I think I'm going bald. Lakeside Parks is okay. Then you get into that weird necromancer stuff. That's you just wasted side two. Okay, I mean side one, and then you turn it over for side two. And then the Fountain of Lament, and that's just one drag on song that's just like in all these different chapters. It's all one song. Okay. Back in the day, this probably was challenging, and to some people, it still might be a little challenging, but I don't think so. I do actually appreciate it a whole lot more than I did the first time I heard it. I thought it was a little because I had listened to a lot of the other albums. I was getting it all in big bunches, and then when this album came around and I listened to it, I was disappointed. I was disappointed. It took me a few more listens to because it was a bit of a challenge. I will admit, even for myself. But now I come to appreciate for what they were trying to do at that time, even though it didn't sell all that well. Until the next album, of course, or 2112, that album is like, even that could be a challenging listen to some people, but not to me. How challenging is this, maybe? The Black Sabbath, the Wizard. I mean, now we're talking of degrees of difficulty, and some people not getting it. But I think it's just like it's so beautiful and so not as you call that heavy. That's not heavy compared to some stuff I listen to, like some really heavy stuff I listen to. This is light and fluffy, but it's so hauntingly dark. That's the thing about that is the music is so low and bassy and there's a darkness. That's what people are. It's not that it's heavy. It's that I mean, it's just like dense, that kind of heavy. But it's not like metal. It's not like your rock, it's not rock and roll. It's not metal, but it's just like, yeah. But how challenging, of course, that's what we're talking about. Is that a challenging album to some people, or like if you just either you know or you don't. Now, talking again about some challenging music. Now, I think this band here might be challenging to a lot of people. And again, some people get it and some people don't. Let's talk about Tool for a second. Is that a challenging album? If you find that a challenging album, this band is not made for you. And especially this one here. And of course, there's yeah, Anima. And yeah, challenging, but rewarding. It's the most. I think again, this here. If you find this a challenging listen to, if you find it, some people find it boring. Some people, they think, oh, it just drags on. You're not hearing what I hear from it. This is such a deep and like this for me is the masterpiece. It's it goes right along with the LP right here. Yeah. So yeah, it's I love it. But how challenging is it really? Is it really challenging? Challenging? Is it as challenging as 10,000 days? You know, or even Fear and Knock'em? I think this is their least challenging album. I think the the tone, the hypnotic droningness of some of the songs and how they just like especially like Numa, it just goes into a certain trance, like the how the beat just can is continuously like evolving and doesn't miss a beat. It has that flow. It just keeps going. It's circular, and like yeah. But how challenging is it? It's not as challenging as the other albums. Growing up with Tool, being there right from the beginning, for me it was like it was challenging in the best way possible, and I challenging as in you didn't have the lyrics. They didn't put lyrics in there, and so you're there. And I swear on cassette tape or even I never had Tool on LP, but on cassette tape, rewinding, playing, rewinding, playing, rewinding, replaying. To try to get those lyrics, to try what the hell is he saying there? I can't understand a word you're saying at this moment. I can understand like a good 85 to 90% of it, but it's that 10% that you really want to know what they're saying. And for most of the albums, right up to Lateralis, even Lateralis, those lyrics were not forthcoming and easy to come by. Nope. So it left you guessing. It left you guessing. And rewinding even when because I always had this on CD, Lateralis, rewinding, and it's like whoa, whoa. Okay, I'm gonna change gears, get off of that. I don't want to make this too much longer. It's going to be a longer episode, but I don't care. You guys are worth it, and I'll explain why I didn't make a video yesterday. I wanted to, but yeah. Now, okay, let's talk about something else challenging. Different languages. Like, how challenging is this, to listen to Peter Schilling? And it's not in English. It's not in English at all. I was slightly disappointed when I first heard it because I was hoping at least one of the versions here was in English. I needed that English version of it, which I do now have it in that cool 40-year box set thing that I have. But having this, of Peter Schilling, and it's all just this, and it's all in German, but it had that cool version German the German version of Major Tom, which is like yeah, and but I loved the whole thing, even if I couldn't understand a word, But then again, that goes the same with my Rammstein. I have two other Rammsteins, but this is my favorite. It's still kind of my favorite one out of it. I love everything on this, I love that secret song number 12 of stripped. It's so good, Yeah, but challenging still. It's a challenging album to listen to, especially the first couple of times because you like the beat and everything, but you can't understand what they're saying. But then you get that okay, it doesn't really matter. And if you really want to learn, you can always find the translations on the internet. They are there, and I have actually looked at the translations and even heard some of this stuff in English. Those German songs, but sung in English, but the same songs. Yeah, it's pretty good. Or you guys might find this challenging to listen to with like these two Stromae. There is French. It's French. I learned about him up in Montreal. You know, so like yeah, there's some good stuff on there. For me, it's aloud. That's the song that kind of But I have listened to these at least twice each, so I'm a little familiar with them. I haven't listened to them in a while, but I am happy to have them. You know. And the same thing with this here, even and I do understand the French, of course, with the Stromae. I do understand most of, like, pretty much 95 to 99% of it. Same thing with this. I do understand like the French stuff, and some people might find this a bit of a could find this a bit of a more of a challenging listen, even though the music is easy to grasp, and but it's so traditional to the New Brunswick, area of this, Acadian. It's so Acadian and it's so of this region that some people, I don't know. I think it's not that challenging at all. I think it's very accessible. But I just can imagine some people, not really getting it or not liking it because it's too, they may think it's too pedestrian. I don't know. I don't. I actually, the more I listen to it, the better it gets. All right. So that is my look through some of my collection, what I consider difficult albums to listen to or challenging to most. I mean, I don't consider Sparks a challenging band to listen to. I think they are accessible. I think there is something for everybody in Sparks. If people are okay. People are not Sparks fans until they hear that song from them that will make them a Sparks fan. They're just that song away from being a Sparks fan. Because there is a song that will get anybody to be a Sparks fan. They just have to hear that song. All right. So Glen Calloway, this is the time I'm going to ask you to turn off the video. Only if your name is Glen Calloway and you live in a basement or you broadcast from a basement. I don't want you to see this unless you really want to spoil it for yourself, but I hope you don't. I will be disappointed if you do from here on in. So Glen Calloway from the basement, turn it off now. Is he done? Is he gone? Is he gone? Okay, I'm just gonna have to trust that you're gone. So the reason why I didn't make a video yesterday is because I got the drawing bug, okay, and I was in the processes of finishing this off, and actually I just finished off the little border here this morning just to finish it off. But here's my first picture that I'm going to be sending. Oh, I'm so happy with it. I started with this first, okay? I drew that part first, and then I drew this the second, and oh, this was when this was coming out, it was coming out so perfect. This is all hand drawn by eye. I'm using references on my computer, and but I put this collage together, pretty much all on myself. That's yeah. I wanted to. That's what I was envisioning in my head, something close to that, and it came out perfect. It's just since 1965. I still have yet to sign it. I want to sign it somewhere. But yeah, I'm pretty happy with it. And okay, and the beauty of this is that it's very very black light friendly. So if you have like an ultraviolet light or a black light, I can just put my lights here blue, okay? For example, blue. I don't know how well you're gonna see that, but see, it's kind of like especially with the green. Let me turn this light off for a second. Hopefully you can kind of see more. I get it. Oh no, I haven't. It has to be blue. Yeah, there we go. Okay. Hopefully you can kind of see that. Yeah. So some of the pink, the green, the yellow, orange, and that yeah, they all pop out. Ultraviolet. Yeah. Blue light. Hopefully you kind of can see that. Let's. I want to make sure you're just seeing the. It's kind of working there. Yeah, it's kind of working there. If I go and so yeah, so you can kind of see. There, it is working. that it looks kind of yellowish there now, but it is actually green. Watch when I turn the light back on. Whoop, see, it's green. So it's ultra. Yeah, it picks up the fluorescence. So that I did that on purpose. Of course, I want it to be fluorescent, especially the pink here, the green behind them, and and of course the orange and yellow and also the green in the background. It's all meant to pop with the ultraviolet light. Did some pointillism on it, of course. You know the borders there. I put some dotting. Want just fill up as much detail as possible, but to have it nice and bordered and have a nice white frame around it. So it's easy. It'll be easy to put into and it's 11 by 10. I believe so. I believe it's, yeah, 11 by 10. My ruler is somewhere, but I'll look at yeah, that is pretty much the dimensions. So that's what I'm sending. That's one out of four. I'm going to be sending Glen Callaway. I'm super happy with it. All right, I'm going to let you go now, and if you are watching this for the first time, please subscribe to my channel. I will greatly appreciate and love you forever. Don't be afraid to hit that like button. Leave comments down below. Tell me about some difficult or challenging albums that you think that you like that most people wouldn't like. I think there's a lot of challenging music, and I think that they are the most rewarding. But again, there's music I find that they don't really challenge you. I think, yeah, but you know what I'm talking about. Anyway, everybody, be safe, take care. I will see you on the flip side, and please, everybody, have a great day, evening, morning, night, or afternoon, wherever you may be. Peace.